Industry Chief Executive's MMDCE's space, and so we better make it legal. Those who are for it say that this would empower people to hold their representatives to account. But the consequences of blatantly politicizing this level of a country's development have also been put forward by those who oppose this idea. Yet, it goes without saying that the frequent fight and rejection of certain MMDCE nominees across the country, like what happened in the last days, show that Ghanaians want some finality on this. Does it matter that MMDCEs are elected on partisan or non-partisan electoral processes? What would this mean for bringing development accountability as entry points to reset local governance? Hello, good evening, and welcome to Agenda. My name is Beatrice, and tonight we delve into this conversation that once saw Ghana hold a referendum in 2019 on the way forward. I do have on the panel with me Dr. Richard Fiadomo. He's President, Chamber of Local Governance, Chalo. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us on Agenda tonight. I also do have on my right hand Mr. Alfred Esiedweje. He's President, National Association of Local Authorities in Ghana. Nalag, good evening to you, sir. Thank you as well for joining us on Agenda tonight.
Good evening, and nice meeting you on the show. Thank you.
We'll also be joined by Dr. Eric Odrosai. He's a governance expert, legal practitioner, as well as immediate past Director General of the Internal Audit Agency. He'll be joining us via video call very shortly. Remember that we're streaming live on 3FM 92.7. Send us your comments and we will read them back to you. And I want to start immediately with you, Dr. Fiadomo. In 2019, like I just said, there was that failed attempt for a referendum, which would have really cemented the country's position on this subject. For you, how would you say, or how do the recent reactions to some of the appointments of MMDCs by President Mahama paint a picture for you as regards what Ghanaians are looking forward to?
Thank you very much. For me, I think that if you look at the Afrobarometer report that was done, and also, I think CDD also did some work, it is clear that a lot of Ghanaians want to elect their own MMDCs. If you also look at the Professor Fiajo report, the constitutional review that was commissioned by His Excellency John Evans Atamils, may he so rest in peace, that report also came. And then you could see that the MPP in their manifesto wanted to elect MMDCs, albeit on partisan basis. The NDC in their manifesto also said they were going to elect MMDCs, albeit on non-partisan basis. So the clarion call for election of MMDC is there.
But you know, in 2019, although you're painting a picture that both parties were willing to ensure that we do the partisan or we go the partisan way, in 2019, this referendum failed because we didn't seem to have had the political will.
Of course, I honestly do not think it was an issue of political will, but when it comes to referendum, we are trying to amend Article 55(3) of Ghana's Constitution. And when it comes to referendum, you need to have a certain percentage of people voting yes or no to either have the status quo remain or changed. But you realize that the MPP did not get the buy-in of the NDC, because the NDC in principle wants a non-partisan election. The MPP in principle wants a partisan election. So the MPP at the time could not carry the NDC along. Of course, some civil society organizations, including us, were opposed to the partisan elections at the time. I'm not too sure if our stance had changed. But what is actually happening may not necessarily be an issue where we say that because there is violence, then we should elect MMDCs. What is happening is that those violence are either well orchestrated or choreographed.
What does that mean?
This is the issue. Not too long ago, when the NDC won elections, the General Secretary threw a circular to all the 275 constituencies, requested that any person who wants to put him or herself up for consideration as Chief Executive should apply. So if you go to North Tongue, for example, about 40-something people applied. Now, those people who applied, they went through a certain process at the regional level where the numbers were sieved to 3. So if you know that a particular person is not fit for purpose to be MMDC, You sat down for the person to apply through the process. It went to the region, it went to national. Now what happened? Because the president, technically speaking, cannot know all the 261 people he's going to appoint, that is why he requested that the party should put in a mechanism to help the president to select the people. So 3 people have been selected and given to the president. Now the president nominates one of them. Now you now have people, NDC members go to agitate that it should have been somebody else other than the person the president nominated. And I can tell you on authority that it is 1 or 2 of the people who did not catch the eye of the president whose supporters are quote-unquote misbehaving.
So what you're claiming is that it was supporters within the party that caused the agitations or the kind of reactions we saw?
Yes, the supporters. And you see, this process is between the president and the assembly members. Because Article 2431 of Ghana's Constitution mandates the president to nominate. After that nomination is done,
2/3 of assembly members.
2/3 majority of assembly members, president and voting, are supposed to go and cast their vote. The constitutional injunction is for the president to nominate, and the constitutional injunction for the assembly members to either confirm or reject. So if assembly members confirm a nominee, that is good for local governance. If they reject a nominee too, it's also good for local governance because it's a constitutional mandate that has been given to them. So we don't say that once they do not confirm, then there is chaos. No, that is not the case.
I will come back to you on what you mean by both scenarios are good for local governance, but I want to get your immediate thought as well, Mr. Alfred Esiedweji.
Thank you very much, and to your listeners and the viewers too. As the president of the National Association for Local Authorities of Ghana, our position is clear. Let the people decide. Let the people decide, whether partisan or non-partisan. Let the people decide. And we should have a system that will be more sustainable, okay, that will reduce polarization and politicization, as we can see. I'm saying this on the backdrop that, I mean, my senior man has enumerated a lot of findings with research that the people want to vote for their MMDC. Yes, there has been a lot of research on that. So why are we delaying as a country? We need to take that bold decision to ensure that it works. I'm saying this once again on the backdrop that, you see, even as at last year, most assemblies don't even have their presiding members. Okay? Even up to this year, some assemblies don't even have their presiding members. And coupled with that, with even the MMDCs, it's become a very, very big problem. Very, very problematic to all of us as a nation. And at the end of the day, if this is the, we had our General Assembly local district level election in December 2023. And this is, I mean, this is we are in the 1 year or 1 year, about 4 or 5 months now. So you can just imagine assemblies without MMDCs. The assembly comes to a halt. Okay, it comes to a halt. So as the like president, I'm appealing to all my assembly members that, as he said, they've gone through the process. Final 3 before the president will choose. I'm appealing to all my assembly members that, please, we don't have time to play around. Please, let's do our best to confirm every MMDC that the president has nominated. Aside
from the issue of political will that Mr. Dr. Fiadono doesn't necessarily agree with, from where you sit, what do you think the problem is? 33 years of practicing, democracy, and we haven't, of course, had partisan politics at the very local level, and now, like you heard him say, CDD survey 2017, I believe, which said about 69% of Ghanaians wanted partisan politics at the very local level. What is the challenge?
The challenge is, to me, I would say, is the political will. The political will. That is one, to me, is the biggest challenge. Because it's over 3 decades now that MMDCs have been appointed by the president. You see, as a nation, let us revisit the 2019 referendum again. We shouldn't visit it as a failure, but with the lessons learned out of this, so that we will all be carried along, okay, for the MMDCs to be voted, to be elected by the people. We talk about decentralization, and if the people at the base, at the grassroots, do not have a say in the appointment of their MMDCs, it becomes very, very problematic as a nation. That is why some of this agitation is even going on. This is not the first time this agitation has gone on. In the previous regime, it went on. So how long are we going to take as a nation? I think we need to take the bold decision to revisit the referendum in 2019 again. So at the end of the day, MMDC should be elected by the people at the grassroots.
Aside from what you've said so far, why do you think it's necessary for us to have this now?
To me, let us revisit the referendum again, okay? Because we have the electoral reforms is there, okay, for everybody to participate. So to me, once again, I say, it's the political will of the people, okay? Let us, as a nation, revisit that referendum again. At the end of the day, everybody should be should partake in the election of the MMDCs. Yep.
I'm coming back to you, Dr. Fiadomo. The debates, you seem to also agree with the fact that indeed we need to elect our MMDCs with political, as in partisan interest at the very local level. Just tell us, I know there have been a number of arguments made that one of the reasons that we need to elect them on partisan basis is that it would make them more responsive to the people they are representing. From where you sit and based on the research that you have read yourself, why do you support perhaps that stance?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that we are obsessed with partisanship too much in this country. The framers of the 1992 Constitution realized that when it comes to local development, it should be devoid of partisanship. That is why Article 55, Clause 3 of the Constitution said that to contest election at the local level, it should not be done on partisan basis, which means that at the local level, we don't do partisan politics. My brother here is a sitting assembly member. I have been an assembly member before. When we get to the floor of the House, we discuss local issues, we discuss development issues. But you see, sometimes the politicians are very disingenuous. The election of MMDC is not a referendum matter.
But you need to be able to deal with the entrenched position.
Yeah, that is where they have been deceiving us. The entrenched provision is to make the local government system partisan, not elections. So the Constitution 55.3 is just saying that at the local level, when we want to do elections, political parties should not sponsor candidates. But if you want to elect chief executives, it is Article 243, Clause 1. That should be amended. And that can be done by two-thirds majority of parliamentarians, after which 246 must also be amended. Then we can have election, because 243 has given the power to the president to nominate MMDCs and has also given the power to the assembly members to confirm.
But that's one side of it.
Exactly.
But Article 55.3, which is the entrenched position, is indeed indicative that before you even go ahead to change this current state of not having political parties participating in the very local level, you need to be able to change that. You need to be able to change that through a referendum.
Yes, that is why if you want to make the local government system partisan, then 55.3 is where to go. But if you want to elect chief executive, the power is with the president. So take the power from the president and give it to the citizens. That is what, of course, the MPP, in my view, failed to do. They were obsessed with partisanship. So because they were obsessed with partisanship, they were interested in tackling 55.3 first. 55.3 does not talk about election of MMDCs. 55.3 talks about unit committees and assembly members, which should not be made partisan. Yet when it comes to the MMDC, it is Article 243 that talks about it, and also 246. So if we want to elect, you see, sometimes we fail. The unit committee election, assembly members election, and the chief executive election, they are all local elections. So you cannot come and tell us that you are just taking the chief executive and making that one partisan and make the unit committee and assembly. What people don't, sometimes politicians don't want us to understand is that political parties are there to win power to govern. The question is the unit committee members as we speak today, what is their role in the governance of this country?
So let me read the Article 55.3 to you. It says, subject to the provisions of this article, a political party is free to participate in shaping the political will of the people, to disseminate information on political ideas, social and economic programs of a national character, and sponsor candidates for elections to any office, any public office other than to district assemblies or local government units.
Yes, so the district assembly, the chief executive, where is he going to? Is he not the district assembly?
But you see, when you say that the politicians are being disingenuous, it is made clear here that indeed, if you want the DCEs, as if you want to change that status quo we have right now, where the president nominates and the 2/3 of the local assembly majority have to elect him, you have to change this.
Okay, that's why I'm saying that. The 55.3 is saying that political parties should not get involved when it comes to local elections.
But if you want to get involved, you need to change this through a referendum because it's an entrenched position.
That is what I'm saying. So if you change that entrenched position, in itself does not allow MMDCs to be elected. To elect chief executive is 243 and 246. That is what it is. So that is why if the NDC today, as is in their manifesto, says that they want to elect MMDCs on a non-partisan basis, then they have to amend 243 and 246, and the elections will happen. But if you now want the election to take a partisan approach, that is where the framers of the 1992 Constitution are saying that they wouldn't want to allow partisanship at the local level.
From where do you stand on this?
Yeah, for me, I think that, you see, if you want to do partisan election, a lot of constitutional amendments we have to make to the Constitution. Number one, we have a district assembly's common fund administrator. That person who sits in that office is a political appointee of the ruling government. We have a situation whereby monies that are supposed to go to the district through the common fund administrator is going to be partisan and is going to be politicized. We all know in this country, when MPs who also take share of the common fund, every time MPs are in opposition, the chief executives of the ruling government are having issues releasing MPs' share of the common fund to them. Yet this has become a statutory payment that's supposed to go to the MPs. But the fact that it is not their government that appointed the chief executive in question, they are also delaying. It is all political gymnastics. And so for me, I think that we should start with a pilot, where we do non-partisan basis, because the district assembly elections, sometimes people say that people don't participate in assembly elections. It is not the fact.
But surveys have proven, surveys have proven that people are generally not interested in these elections.
Until recently, where His Excellency John Dramani Mahama says he's going to pay assembly members, these are people who are working based on sacrifice. And for me, if I'm an assembly member, and I go to sit in a meeting every quarter, and I get 20 Ghana cedis, 30 Ghana cedis, 40 Ghana cedis, nobody will queue to come and vote for me. Because number one, I do not control resources. The reason why we queue to vote for the MPs is because they are entitled to MPs' share of the common fund. So you can go to an MP and he can give you money to pay fees. You cannot go to an assembly member for him to give you money to pay fees because there is no money going to the assembly.
Look, I still don't have clarity on where you stand on this, whether or not, and then I will come to Mr.
I am saying that election for me is a necessary evil now. Because when we talk
on partisan lines,
I am opposed to partisan election at the local level, as I said here.
Why?
Because what we see is that when we allow partisanship at the local level, there will not be interest in the elections. And people, what I want everybody to understand here is that why is it that the unit committee and the assembly members, people are not interested? You think that if you make assembly election partisan, automatically the numbers will go up. It will not.
You do not think that the reason for those who are calling for the election to be done on partisan levels is because they feel that, yes, you can be the president, but let's have multi-party system, as it were, in various local assemblies so that it's not you doing everything you want, even against the people?
Right. You see, as we speak, the common fund that is supposed to even go to the assemblies, which is not even partisan, the central government, if it doesn't release the common fund administrator, we all saw that as we speak, the whole of 2024, not even a dime was released to the assemblies on common fund basis. Even though it is the same government who appointed the same MMDCs who are there. Yet you don't want to release the common fund to them. Now you come and tell us that immediately we make it partisan. As we speak, the system is partisan. No chief executive today will be in John Mahama's administration, will not be an NDC member. So why would you not give funds to the assembly to work? And then you just say it should be partisan for the sake of it. Political parties, yes, they have an interest, but when it comes to the local level, our developmental needs are not the same across the country. That is why recently, when this issue of the drip came in, you realize that some assemblies do not need the drip equipment, some need it very badly. So clearly, that's why we are of the view that elections, yes, must be allowed to happen at the MMDA level, but it should be non-partisan. For now, on pilot basis, then we get to see where we will get to. Because the partisanship, as we speak, the assemblies are being superimposed by partisan appointment. As we speak, the local government minister is a die-in-the-wool member of the NDC. The regional ministers are die-in-the-wool members of the NDC. And all the MMDCs who are going to be confirmed, they are all NDC members. So why is it that development cannot go on when it is the same government who has appointed the people on the ground? They will now have a situation whereby Ashanti region will be controlled by MPP chief executive, Volta region will be controlled by NDC chief executive, and you think there will be development. It will not happen. So for me, let's not bury our head in the sand and think that we should just trumpet partisanship, because we have seen it between the chief executives and the MPs, where MPs are in opposing parties and they are struggling to get their share of the common fund.
I'm coming to you, Mr. Ejay. You seem to disagree with that point. And then after that, we'll go for a break, and when we come back, we'll look at the way forward.
Okay, I totally disagree with what Doctor is saying. To me, it should be on a partisan basis. Why am I saying that? You see, as a nation, sometimes we behave like ostriches. Okay? In reality, this is my third time as an assembly member. In books, they say assembly is non-partisan. But I can tell you on authority that it is very, very partisan than even parliamentary election. Very, very partisan. To the extent that some now, even before you even contest for an assembly position, you must even go for primaries. If you don't go for primaries, by your party, you will not even get. So it is highly partisan at the local level. So we keep deceiving ourselves. It is non-partisan, it is non-partisan. It is highly partisan. So with all said and done, why are we deceiving ourselves as a nation? To me, it should be partisan. It should be partisan. And some of the reasons it is strengthening what? Democratic competition. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if you make it partisan, no, with MPs that we have, don't we see even development to some MPs, even with their party being in the opposition? Because the people have voted for you. They know that you are supposed to deliver. It will enhance you for what? For you to deliver more. So to me, it should be very, very partisan, because we are still deceiving ourselves. When you come to the assembly level, assembly election, on paper it is not partisan. But when you come practicality, it is very, very partisan. So I'm for it that it should be partisan.
He doesn't, Dr. Fiadomo doesn't believe that this would necessarily bring development. Why do you think where you stand, as in your position, is what we need if we want to see development at the local level?
Let's use our MPs as an example. If an MP, and even you are in opposition, does it mean that you don't even bring development to your people? You do bring development to your people. And sometimes, even you can be an MP with your party in opposition for two terms or 3 terms, but the people keep voting for, because they are seeing development. You are bringing development to them. So to me, it doesn't matter whether your party is in the power or not. But so far as you have the will of the people for you to, bring development to them, people will continue to vote for you, because you are bringing development to them. And you see, you'll be more accountable to the people who vote for you. Very, very more accountable, other than being appointed.
Because you know, if you don't perform, you'll be booted out.
Yes, precisely, you know. So it should force you to think even outside the box to bring development to your people. So to me, it should be. Because assembly, trust with me, it is very, very partisan. I can tell you on authority, assembly election is very, very, very partisan at the local level.
Doc, one of the arguments against partisan politics at the very local level has been that you claim that you want to give the opportunity to people to be part of the local governance system. You want to deal with winner takes all, the kind of system that we've had. But it's not necessarily going to deal with that problem, because even at the highest level of elections, you still have winner takes all. So how do you justify the argument that you're not going to have that at the very local level if you introduce politics into it?
Come again, I'm not getting it.
The question I'm asking is that one of the main reasons people are asking that we depoliticize this is that you would not have the winner takes all issue that we currently have. But the people who are making arguments, the counter arguments, say that at this very level where we have MPs and of course the president elected, you have the winner take all system, winner takes all system. How sure are you that if we brought this same politics to the very local level, you will not have the same problem?
I don't think we are going to have that problem, because the reality on the ground, as my argument states, that assembly election is very, very partisan. And still people are bringing development, okay, to the very core people who voted for them. As I'm saying, this is my third time as an assembly member. Do you think if I'm not performing, my people will continue to vote for me? Absolutely no. But so far as they know that I'm trying my best to bring development, whether my party is in power or my party is not in power, they will continue to vote on. So to me, the question is not about the winner-take-all issue. No, the question shouldn't be that. It's about you, the person, being accountable to the people, not just being appointed by the executive, which you owe allegiance to them. At the end of the day, you are focusing on the appointing authority. But with the people that voted for you on the ground, definitely you try to bring development. So to me, the question is not about the winner-take-all. It's about you bringing development to the people, and you being accountable to the people who vote for you. Trust me. You see, most community members even don't know the core function of some MMDCs, and all the pressure will be on the MP, because the MP went to the people to solicit for their votes. Okay, so in the same vein, if they use the MMDC, you go on the ground to the people that the people vote for you. Definitely, you'll be accountable to them, and you not even be depending on common fund to even bring development. I mean, you think outside the box to bring development to your people. So my argument still stands that it should be partisan, because that is the reality that we are facing now. Assembly election is partisan. If you can ask any MPP member, you can ask any NDC member. MPP members know the number of pro-MPP assembly members. NDC members know the number of pro-NDC assembly members. So it is highly partisan. So why are we just deceiving ourselves as a nation? We should go that tangent.
And when we come back, we'll be telling you more about the way forward, and really whether, like you heard Mr. Siedu say, whether indeed it is time to revisit the 2019 referendum and how we should go about it. Don't go away. And you're still here on Agenda on TV3 with me, Beatrice. We're talking about local governance system in Ghana and whether or not at the very local level there's a need to elect our MMDCEs on partisan lines, or we should continue with how we've done things over the last 33 years. I have in the studio with me Dr. Richard Fiadomo. He's President Chamber for Local Governance at Charlock. I also do have with us Alfred Esiedweje. He's President National Association of Local Authorities in Ghana. We're still hoping to get connected to Dr. Eric Odrosai, who is a governance expert lawyer, as well as immediate past Director General of the Internal Audit Service. So there's a direct question for you, Dr. Fiadomo. But before that, some of you have been sending us your comments on Facebook. Abasi Billy says, okay, you just said great, but you didn't tell us which side of the arguments you believe in, as it were. Also, there's Godfather Adoshi. He says 100% partisan. So that's what he's saying. There's a comment coming in from Patrick Okine. He works with IDEC. I know IDEC, I'm sure you're aware, they've also been doing a lot of stuff on local governance as well. And it's a direct question to you, Doc. It says, since Nkrumah's one-party state in 1964, the nation has been denied political parties in local elections, including the over 33 years of the Fourth Republic. Parties have contributed faster to the development at the national or central level, whilst at the local level, development is abysmal. Why then keep parties out at the local governance level?
Yeah, thank you very much. For me, I've always said that we should contextualize issues and know what is actually happening on the ground. Because our local governance system is superimposed by a partisan institutions. For example, we have the Office of the Head of Local Government Service. It is that office that recruits people in Accra and send them to Zabzugu Tatali. Recruits people in Accra, send them to Keta and all other places. Now, if you go ahead to do elections of MMDCs on partisan basis, you don't elect a partisan chief executive for you to now be giving that person staff and how the staff should be controlled. That's why I have called that we should start a pilot and get some of the institutions amended, because immediately we want to elect on partisan basis, then these chief executives are going to be controlling resources.
Well, the pilot means what exactly?
Non-partisan election.
But that's what we've had over the past 33 years.
No, we've not elected MMDCs in this country before. What we do is the constitution says that president nominates and then the assembly members confirm or reject.
So what you're saying is we must have elections, but without the parties,
yes, so
like we have with the assembly members.
Elections, unit committee elections, that is non-partisan elections. So when we say partisanship, it means political parties are the ones driving the candidates. So clearly, the reason why it is very easy to say partisanship for election is that the political parties necessarily will have to go through some primaries to elect whoever will be the person to lead the structure. But I always say that the obsession with chief executive, for me, 55-3 will not support it. Because immediately you amend 55-3, it means all elections are going to be partisan at the local level.
But my understanding of a referendum is that you decide how you want to do it.
No, the referendum is for us to either say yes, partisan, or we still say no, non-partisan.
But there are still levels as regards how you're responding to the yes and the no. Is that not the case?
Yes, the 55-3 does not allow political parties to sponsor candidates for local elections. Is that not the case? So if you, chief executives are part of local elections. So if you want chief executive to be elected on partisan basis, that is why 55-3 will have to be amended. And so clearly what we are seeing is that the reason why we are of the view that partisan election is not that it is bad, but where we are now, we do not need it. Why? Because we are having national institutions which are partisan in nature, supervising local government entities. So what we are just saying is simple, that if you want to make the local government system partisan, then from where I sit, the DACF should exist no more. The local head of local government service should exist no more, because you cannot, once you do universal adult suffrage, then the power has been given to the chief executive. So I don't come and sit here as a chief executive elected on a partisan basis, and now my staff will not be under my command and control. And so that is why we are of the view that the current system in itself is already partisan, but we are not seeing what we are supposed to see. Look, my sister, these local government entities as are there. The staff, when the chief executives come, all the chief executives are going to be NDC people. In the past, they were all MPP people. Yet they do not have control over their staff. Now the head of service is appointed by the president. Surely he's a member of the ruling government. So if partisanship will bring development, we should see the development now.
Do I hear you say that if we brought partisanship to the very local level, perhaps what we are calling for is confusion?
Yeah, serious confusion.
Why?
Why? Because the development of an area is not necessarily nationalistic in nature. So the needs of the people of Zabzugu-Tatali is not the same as that of Tema. Now, immediately you make it partisan, the general secretary and the chairman of the political party will now decide who should be in Zabzugu-Tatali based on partisan lines. But when we go for assembly election, I heard my brother say that it's partisan. You see, there's difference today as we speak. Is prostitution not illegal in this country?
So let me try to understand your argument very well before I come to you again, Mr. Seydu. You're saying that the general secretaries, for instance, and I know you're just giving an example,
yes,
will tell the local reps what to do.
Yes.
But if, for instance, there is MPP, there's NDC, there's CPP, and there is another party they send their representatives to an electoral area or a district for them to be voted for, the people decide that we want to choose either the MPP or the NDC or the CPP or the other party.
Yes.
So how then does the party secretary at the national level determine what happens?
How are MPs selected and elected? The MPs, there's 275 of them, whether MPP or NDC, it is their general secretaries and the chairpersons who set criteria for filing of nomination. And I am saying that, you see, when it comes to the MPs, MPs are not development agents. MPs are supposed to be policy makers, pure and simple. But when it comes to the local level, they are development agents. They are bona fide members of the district assembly as we speak. All I'm just trying to say is that if we make it partisan and we do not amend certain parts of the constitution and want to start anytime soon, it will bring confusion because the problems for which reason they are in the local areas and the system said it should not be partisan, once you make it partisan, it's now going to be controlled at a central point.
So Mr. Seydu, for instance, and I'll be coming to you very shortly, has called for a revisit of the 2019 referendum. Would you support that?
Yeah, from my submission, it should tell you that I'm not for amendment of 55.3. If you want elections, let's amend 243 and amend 246. And that one is within the domain of Parliament.
Mr. Fred Seydu.
Yeah, before you come with your question, my big brother make mention of the Article 55.3, which prohibits political parties from sponsoring local level election. But my question still stands. Is that what we see on the ground? Is that what we see? Absolutely no. To the extent that even unit committee election, unit committee members, is all partisan now. Okay? It is. And to me, when we politicize it, okay, to me, it will encourage political accountability at all levels. Okay? Citizens can reward or punish political parties at the local level, forcing them to perform very, very well. Okay? We are in this country. Don't we even have, how do we call it, independent candidates even win parliamentary elections? Because the people feel that they are the people who can do the work. You made mention about MPs being policymakers. Yes, MPs are, in quotes, ex-official members of the assembly. They don't have voting rights. Okay? Every MP is a member of the district assembly, but you don't have voting rights. You are an ex-official member. You see, to the ordinary citizen, he does not see the MP as a policymaker. He seems as a development or oriented person. Okay? The person who's supposed to bring development to the people. Meanwhile, it is the MMDC or it is the district assembly. So my point is stand that if the MMDC, okay, go to the people, solicit for their votes. At the end of the day, he will be accountable to the people. So to me, when you politicize it, it is going to encourage what political accountability. I'm in for that. And at the end of the day, you see, it reduces presidential interference in the MMDCs, because if the people, like, if for instance, as we all know, if the president...
So it will reduce political interference. Is that not counterproductive based on the argument you have made?
No.
Because if I elect you based on a party level, I expect that my party will support me, and there will be that either overtly or subtly kind of influence politically.
No, I'm saying that you are contesting, okay? It doesn't matter whether your party is in power or you're not in power. The people will hold you accountable. Unlike what we see now, that the president will appoint you solely. Okay, it's the president who is going to appoint, and at the end of the day, it is the assembly members who are going to what? Confirm you. Okay? But at the end of the day, if you come and contest as an individual, whether partisan or non-partisan, as I said, that was my earlier submission, at the end of the day, you feel accountable to the people. Because my point is that the MP, people even don't know that he's just a policy maker. The people seem to bring development to the people. Meanwhile, it is the district assembly.
Well, they go to advertise, during campaigns, they go to promise them stuff. So the people have believed that they have the power to bring development, although that's really not the case.
I think you are right there. Because they promise, sometimes they overpromise. So the same way, if you, the MMDC, you go to the people, and at the end of the day, you promise that this is what you are coming to do. It doesn't matter whether your party is in power or not. You feel accountable to the people, and you bring development to your people. That is my position.
I want to read a bit of what the Constitutional Review Commission did in 2011 in terms of recommendations. And they also, of course, highlighted some of the benefits as well as the negatives of introducing partisan politics at the local level. At certain point, it says elections will create the platform for competent persons to stand for elections as MMDCE. An elected MMDCE would have the confidence and security of tenure necessary to insist on long-term local development when this is sought to be sacrificed by the Center for Short-Term and Parochial Interest. I'll go to some other recommendations they made earlier, where they say that the Commission finds that the practical implementation of two-thirds vote requirement for electing MMDCE is expensive and time-consuming, resulting in the delay in approval of some MMDCs, and that's the point you made earlier, Mr. AJ. In some areas, this calls for a review of the mode of election that would be less difficult and less time-consuming. I'm coming to you, Dr. Fiadomo. How do we take these recommendations made as far back as 2011, of course submitted to the late President Professor John Mills, and make it relevant now?
Yeah, and that's why we need to elect the chief as MMDCs. And the reason why we should amend 243 and 246. But you see, what I want to say is that sometimes I have said earlier that prostitution is illegal in Ghana here. But is it not being practiced?
Well, there are a number of things that are laws banned, but we still see them happening.
So that is why I am saying that you see political parties, they work with a whip system. If you make the local government system partisan, all the seats that the NDC will win across the 261, all the seats the MPP will win, they will whip them into line. And in whipping them into line, they not necessarily meet the developmental needs and challenges of the people within a specific local area.
But Doc, it's very obvious that the system we've practiced over the past 33 years has not helped us. I know you talk about election at the local level, but without partisan politics involvement. Aside from that, how do we make it better so that it's a win-win situation for all?
To tell you the honest truth, I honestly don't even see why a president can sack a chief executive. Why? The Constitution is clear, and the Constitution shows you how somebody becomes a chief executive. The president today, as we speak, if he nominates me for a position of chief executive, I come from Tema, so let me say Tema West, and the assembly members reject me 1, 2, 3 times, the president has no option than to leave me and nominate another person. Yet, when that same president nominates me and the assembly members by 2/3 majority confirm me, the president's sole motto can remove me from office. And for me, I do not think that the framers of the 1992 Constitution saw it that way. That is why it has to go through universal adult suffrage voting, and you need to get 75%. So why does somebody get 75% and is confirmed, yet tomorrow the president gets up and remove that person without recourse to the assembly members?
Would that not really confirm the reason the president has also found it necessary to set up another committee to review the constitution?
Yes. So that is why I'm saying that that aspect of it is not being implemented to the latter. It has been abused over the years as we speak. So clearly, for me, that is why the election of MMDCs, I'm for it 100%. My point of departure with my big brother here is the fact that we don't think that it should be partisan, because local level issues are segmented. They are not national in character. That is why you see what has just recently happened. The MPP went and acquired equipment and they say drip. Those equipment, per the MPP's understanding, was meant for the local areas to be able to do their roads and other things. When the NDC came to power, what has happened? The president has said that it should be come back into a central pool where when they need roads to be done at certain areas, it's going to be done. So the drip, original plan of the drip, even though it was meant for local government, has changed. And that is what partisan politics can do for you. And
I'm coming to you, Mr. J, but there's a comment from Superflick. It says, for me, I believe partisan or no partisan is very dangerous, because even if we should vote without parties involving themselves, parties will still find their ways in. So it should be appointment by the government, but they should listen to the party grassroots. Please, your thoughts.
How do you listen to the party grassroots? Recent agitation, those members agitating, are they not the same ruling party members? Yes, they are. They are the same people agitating. So to me, I don't think the issue is about partisan, like the issue is about like those people agitating. But at the end of the day, you see, let me be a little political here. In some places, they had their elections today. Okay? The election that they had today, can you believe that when they went to the first or second round, the MC was not elected? You know why? Because majority of the assembly members happen to be in quote pro-MPP members. So they feel that no, we are not going to vote for them.
So you agree with this person who just commented?
What was his comment?
Yes, that whether or not we make it appear to be partisan, the politicians will
still find will find their way. That's what I said. So my position says that the politicians will still find what their way, and they find their way in the local level election. As I'm talking to you now, that party are sponsoring. I'm saying it on the record. Party are sponsoring assembly members election. Party are sponsoring unit committee election. You see, last years back, you know,
and Nalak, if you could be wrapping up your thoughts.
Yes, Nalak was there's a program, a PMI world by the people from Canada, that they were grooming some ladies to participate in the local level election for about 3-4 months. Okay, going to sponsor them. Can you believe when it was just 1 month to the election, some of these ladies came that their party said they should step down. Their party said what? They should step down. What can they do? They have no option than what? To step down.
Let me just read a few more comments and I'll get your final thoughts. Okay. There's a comment coming from James, not directly related to the elections, what we're talking about, but asking the Electoral Commission to pay them for taking part in the elections during December. There is Zampa Ibrahim, who says, Beatrice, appointing them is not a good decision, and I suggest electing them will help. Since Memorial, these people are being appointed. They don't go through stress to campaign and share their vision. Okay, so and with people for the masses to determine who is qualified to serve the various constituencies. Due to that, they don't care to develop the various constituencies. So you are not making it clear whether you side with Dr. Fiadomo as regards electing them without political parties involvement, or what Mr. J is telling us, which is elect them on partisan basis. Yeah. But let me get your final word. And in relation to the question I asked earlier about the recommendations coming from the Constitutional Review Commission's work in 2011, and what we can use it for now at this very crucial moment?
Okay, so let's look at some countries like Kenya. Okay, they practice the system I'm advocating for. Country like even
in about 40 seconds actually, yeah, and then I'll get the final word.
Country like Germany, who practice the federal system, they vote based on their partisan level, and there has been a lot of participation. Okay, participation in that. So to me, my position is that partisan politics, we can sit at the local level election. So let's politicize it, and we stop behaving as ostriches as a nation. There has been a lot of report that, because you see, you made mention, people even don't participate in the local level elections too much because they don't like. But if it is partisan politics, you see this MPP NDC issue, that's to me, people will participate. And you see, we shouldn't behave like the politicization is demonic. No, it is not demonic. It is not evil. At the end of the day, what we have now is that parties are sponsoring. So let's politicize this once and for all.
And I read the last two comments from, and then I'll come to you, Dr. Fiadomo. Anthony Kujo says the people in the community who vote for the assemblymen even want to know which party the candidate belongs to or the aspirant belongs to before voting for them. If I believed in the MPP, I want to see an assemblyman who is an MPP. And then there's Pope Risky, they should be elected. Dr. Fiadomo, your final words.
I don't know why we are talking as if this partisanship has even helped this country. The partisanship we are doing now, whether... Yes, you say when a frog dies before you see the land. It is only MPP goes into opposition before we see the kind of corrupt things that happened during the administration. NDC goes into opposition before we see what has happened. Look, the issue is not about partisanship. We want accountability. We want accountability from people that we elect for them to work in our interest. Partisanship, for me, has not done anything super normal for us to come here and say that that is the way to go. What we need is to, once you elect me, I will be accountable to you. There is a form of election that is, unless somebody tells me that all the assembly members we have been electing since 1988 have not done anything meaningful as we speak. So I think that election is a necessary evil. We need it because there is so much political interference. If we go partisanship, there is going to be a whip system by the political parties. They will want to control the chief executives who are MPP, the chief executives who are NDC, and they will not see to development. And my typical example is the DRIP, where we said District Road Improvement Program.
And if you could land on your thoughts.
Today, it is not because there is a partisan decision taken because one party thinks that it was not properly thought through in the past and they want to do something else. So my final words is that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, see to it that before your term of office is over, we elect our chief executive.
Not on partisan basis.
On non-partisan basis. And this country will see proper development and not partisan development. Thank
you so much, Dr. Richard Fiadomo, our President Chamber for Local Governance, Chalok. We've also had with us on my right side, Mr. Alfred Esiedueje. He's President, National Association of Local Authorities in Ghana, NALAC. Apologies, we could not connect to Dr. Eric Odrosai, who is a governance expert, a lawyer, as well as immediate past Director General of the Internal Audit Agency. My name is Beatrice. Thank you so much for joining us on Agenda Tonight. Join us again next week. Coming up next is Ghana Tonight.